afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the meeting to order for Tuesday, October the 24th. All members of council are present today, along with our CAO, Deepak Joshi, and our Manager of Administration, Heather Stanek. And with that, I would like to have a resolution for the adoption of the agenda, please.
Resolve the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated with the noted additions. Communication for action, 5.4, Sunrise School Division. New other business, 6.5, Road 32B-gravel. And general planning, 15.1, subdivision S22-2966, additional condition public reserve.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bezrowicz, Councillor Strang seconds. Any further discussion or anything else for the agenda today? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. We have one set of minutes that we're going to confirm this afternoon, and that is from our regular meeting of October the 10th. So if I could have that resolution, please.
Resolve the minutes of October 10th, 2023 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horvis, Councillor Spicer seconds. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, we have a delegation, but it's not 2:15 yet, so I'm going to move on to communications for action, and we should be able to go through a couple of those before the delegation arrives. So the first one I have is the Northeast Red Watershed District meeting, and this is the inaugural meeting for the Watershed District, and we have some council members that have been assigned to it along with some residents. So we talked about this a little bit just before the meeting started, and I guess Councillor Sutherland will be going. It now appears that Councillor Horvis won't be able to go to that one.
I won't either.
You won't be there either? Okay. So...
I think, Madam Mayor, Councillor Spicer is planning on attending. I think Councillor Horvis
No, Councillor Horvis can't.
cannot. So Councillor Horvis and Councillor Spicer are indicated by email already to the Northeast Red Watershed District that he'll be attending. Councillor Strang or Councillor Belanger? Councillor Belanger, would you be going?
That was the November 20th.
That Duval?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, Councillor Belanger will be our 5th representative and will be going, so we'll update our resolution to that in the future.
This is where they also want, prior to us to tell them who is on which sub-district. We never discussed that, remember?
Yes, so we'll discuss in camera as to who's attending on which sub-district, and then you can inform them at the meeting which members and which person will be representing which sub-district. Okay,
Now,
so
I'm just to clarify and get it straight in my mind, we're appointing 5 people, and some of those are citizen reps, or
We've
is
already
it,
appointed.
pardon me?
We've already passed a resolution to appoint.
Right, but is the combination of residents and councillors, does that come to 5, or is it 10 altogether? That's what I wanted
so
to know.
there's 5 districts that we
Yeah.
qualify to be a member of, and each district has to have, will have
2.
a council member and a private representative, but it can be 2 private representatives as well.
Thank you for
It doesn't
that.
have to be a council member in everyone.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. That's kind of what I was looking for. So it's 10 people altogether.
Yes, and we've appointed a total of about 8.
Okay, so I think we need to put some more names in this list because I believe Councillor Spicer is going to go and Councillor Belanger.
Yes, so resolve Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Spicer, and Councillor Belanger be authorized to attend the Northeast Red Watershed District meeting at the Dougal Community Centre on November 20th, 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Horvis seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, the next item is an invitation from GMCC to attend their Remembrance Day ceremony on November the 11th. And I'm going to ask if there's anybody sitting around the council table that is able to attend that one.
I can't go.
You can't go this this year? Okay. Anybody else? Well, I was just gonna say Selkirk usually does have theirs, and I haven't heard anything different that they're not having it, but I have not received an invitation yet, and it probably won't come out for probably another few days. It is relatively early, and I think they don't send out their invitation until after the poppy campaign starts. But if I am invited, I would go to that one, unless I have somebody that will go to Selkirk, then I may take the time to go to Grand Marais this year. But if I have nobody if nobody is able to go, I would go to Selkirk.
So, Madam Mayor, if I could, we could pass a resolution for you and one other councillor to attend this one, and then you decide which one to go.
Sure.
Is there any other councillor? I think I heard councillors saying.
I may go
So-
to the ones.
To Grand Marais, Councillor Sutherland, or to
Yeah.
Selkirk?
Probably Grand Marais. I'm not sure yet, but probably.
Okay,
Grand Marais.
okay.
The one at the, oh, pardon me, it's the one in Broken Head's usually before the 11th.
The one in Broken Head is usually on Aboriginal Remembrance Day, which is November the 7th, I
We
believe. And I
usually go
haven't
to
gotten
that.
it, yeah,
Yeah.
we've been invited to that one. I haven't seen anything this year yet. So,
So, resolved, Councillor Sutherland be authorized to attend the Remembrance Day ceremony at Grand Marais Community Central on November 11th, 2023.
can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horbis, Councillor Gazarovitz seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, Manitoba Association of Watershed Districts, their upcoming conference, and I believe it's the 4th to the 6th of December in Brandon. Did you have any takers for that, Heather, on our
I only
list?
have one that was unsure. Scott was not sure.
Okay. We could bring it back. We still do have some time. It's just a matter of getting a room if you decide to go, Councillor Spicer. I know I won't be going because I do plan on going to the AMM conference, and they're almost like, so,
Let's stay out there.
yeah. Have a holiday for a couple of days.
So right now, only Councillor Spicer showing interest, or?
A Councillor Spicer for the watersheds, yes.
Okay, so we'll come back to that. So the other is the Sunrise School Division. Their special public board meeting was originally scheduled for today, which has been rescheduled to the 30th. So we brought it back to council to see if any council members can attend next week on the 30th.
Any takers for this one?
You changed the date just so we know.
I guess I probably could go. I do not have anything in my calendar, but if there is anybody else that wishes to go. We don't usually go to these, like I know the Lord Selkirk School Division usually comes to us and does a presentation, and the other two school divisions, they don't come and make a presentation, and they don't normally invite us to.
Used to all the time, very used to.
Yeah, see, and I've never been, so. And that's next Monday.
Mhm.
Well, it's
Just
just
as
a
soon as-
resolution, it doesn't cost anything, so you can put, like you have here, mayor, people, court, and councils.
Yeah, and then if anybody can attend, they
Yeah,
can.
then they can attend, because I don't think it makes a difference.
There's
I
no
don't think
cost
they
either.
need to, and I don't think they need to know who's coming or how many are coming
No,
either.
there's no
It's a
risk.
public meeting, so, okay, leave it as that, and then we'll see if anybody's able to go.
Resolve Mayor Feeble County councilors be authorized to attend the Sunrise School Division Special Public Board meeting at the Education Center, Portage, Manitoba, on October 30th, 2023.
Moved by Councillor Bazarowicz, second by Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so new and other business, Glenmore Drain. And go ahead, Deepak, please.
So, Madam Mayor, we received a petition and a letter from the Glenmore Road it's about the Glenmore Road and the reconstruction of the works that need to be done due to flooding related with the floods of earlier this year. And these had to be a DFA claim, so they went through the DFA process, assess the damage, identify what the works were, and then send it back to the province for approval. At which point, once we went out for tenders, we discovered that the costs were higher than what they were originally budgeted, and as well as we had to go back to the province of Manitoba to get those approvals, and then came back to do work. Stagtech has been hired by council resolution earlier in the year, who was doing all the design works, and last week I signed all the contracts for the DFA work, and as I understand it, the contractor, Accurate HD, who will be doing the work here, has already started to set up on site to start stabilizing the bank failure that was there. I need to first make it very clear, the roadway was never in such disarray that it would be considered hazardous. If it was considered hazardous to vehicles or individuals, we would have had closed the road. And the road has been monitored on a regular basis, and as time goes, the work will start. We'll start looking at stabilizing it, and then some of the work will be completed by the spring.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So has that information been relayed to these folks?
Not as of yet. So we brought this forward to council, so if council so wishes, I can certainly write a letter back to them stating that. Or somebody from the administration.
Because that's, when I read it, that's kind of what I believed. They were just like, what's going on?
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody else? Questions, comments? No, and I think if we send them a letter and kind of give them what our plan is, that we are going to be working on it, and kind of give them even the reasoning why we're starting so late, may help, and they will understand that due to what they're doing in the area, it wasn't feasible for us to go in there and close the road. Yeah. Okay, so the next item is the food cycle pilot program. Or did I miss something?
These features.
Okay, East Beaches Fire and Rescue. Oh, there he is.
Good morning, or good afternoon.
Sorry.
Okay, as you know, the East Beaches is part of the capital plan for the budget. It was identified in the 2023 budget to go out and buy a side-by-side unit for fighting fires. A budget was estimated at $22,000 from our municipality, with the other 50% coming from the municipality of Alexander as part of our fire sharing agreement. The machine that's been selected is the Can-Am side-by-side Defender 6x6 HD10. And it is within our 2023 capital budget. It's also been verified that the capital budget at the Armagh Alexander is sufficient to be able to accommodate this. The machine will be primarily for fighting wildland fires, and there will be a water tank installed on the machine. The machine will also be equipped with firefighting foam and other firefighting measures as been identified. The machine is also replacing an older 2004 ATV that was there, and the recommended quotation from the Snowmobile Center was quoted at $34,000 plus taxes. The purchase will also be shared equally, as I mentioned already, between us and the Armagh Alexander. So what we're recommending is the approval for this, and we have a resolution to move forward for the purchase of $34,450 plus applicable taxes.
Any
So,
questions or comments? If you have a resolution, can you please bring it forward?
thank you. Resolved, administration be authorized to proceed with the purchase of the Can-Am 6x6 Defender from Gimli Snowmobile Center at a cost not to exceed $34,450 plus applicable taxes. Further be it resolved, purchase to be shared equally between the RM of St. Clements and the RM of Alexander. Further be it resolved, the RSA implements a portion of the purchase in the amount of $18,430.75 be funded from the fire reserve.
And mover, please, Counselor Spicer, Counselor Horbus, second. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, we are now at the food cycle pilot program.
Madam Mayor, if I could interrupt, the delegation is here now, and then we could go back to the delegation, or would you like to continue on with the agenda?
No, I was just gonna do this one more, but that's okay. We can have our delegation and then go back.
Sure. Okay, so what we have is the East Selkirk Recreation Association delegation is going to come and make a presentation to council, and we'll give it a minute or two for her to set up. Yes, please, plug that in. Have a seat. Take your time. The doors can be opened, it's a public hearing, or a public meeting. While we're waiting for the delegation to get ready, we could cover that one item, Madam Mayor, if you
Okay,
like.
go ahead.
And so, on the,
Food cycle 6-3.
6-3. Okay, for the food cycle program, the food cycle program units, there's been some requests, that, that they've been, they're subsidized from the purchase of the 200 units. We've made them available to all residents, and it has gone over really well. It has gone over so well that also some of our existing staff in the RM are interested in buying them as well. Now, as some staff are sometimes, that's the public works or the administration, could be just outside the municipality or not in the municipality, since this is a program specifically reserved for the municipality, we felt it was important to bring it back to council to make a decision whether you're open to allowing administration or municipal staff to be able to also purchase them because they are subsidized.
Go ahead, Counselor Spicer.
2 questions. We approved 200 units, correct?
Correct.
Do you have the number of people who actually signed up to this point?
I think it's somewhere in the 100 and some, but not anywhere near the 200.
I want to say we've for sure reached something between 160 and 170 for sure. It might have gone up because there's been a lot of traction just from seeing it at the counter.
Oh, it's here at the counter?
Yeah.
Okay, so secondly, so there's no issue with the pricing from the supplier for people that are not within the municipality, like it's, the deal's the same regardless?
Yeah, the deal would be the same, there's no
Okay,
further.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Go ahead, Counselor Strang.
How many people would it be
Maybe.
entail, so?
At this point, we've only offered it to residents, and we had about 2 or 3 staff ask about it. And so maybe there might be 4 or 5, I don't know, when other staff who aren't necessarily residents right within our municipality and are applying for the program through that process might say, I'd like to purchase one. I don't know. Obviously, I don't think that it's going to be in the 20 or 30 numbers at this point.
I just think with people coming to pay their taxes, that they're coming up to the counter with having the sample there. I think that's going to create a little bit of talk, and as people are going to people's homes that have them already, one of the counselors already said that he uses it every day, and so it's something that's going to get spoken about, that there are some of our residents, but if it's only that, so many of that stuff, I'm fine.
I would agree as well. Remember, our intention was to get the level of interest in the community, and there is an opportunity to continue to expand on the program as our appeals. If there's significant interest, of course, it's better for the environment and what we're doing, and also better for our own landfills to keep some of those greenhouse gases out of there. So it should work better to be able to expand it, but then we'll have a proper justification. So then we went with 200, but I think the supplier let us go up to 1,000 if we wanted to.
There's lots, yeah.
Yeah.
Good one, okay, sure.
Okay, so, it appears, or anybody have any further comments? I'm fine, and go
One
ahead.
additional comment.
Sure.
One additional request was made by the staff that the RM office tends to also throw away a lot of organic material. And this might be an opportunity to put one in the office that can be used throughout. And so if you're okay with that, I'll purchase one for the
Sure.
office.
Yes,
Okay.
Sounds good.
yeah.
You can't promote something you're not.
I'm not a user of
I suppose the RM will be walking in discount too, then?
Yes, sir. Okay, so,
You wanna know if they take cigar butts soon?
not the plastic part of the belt. Resolved council will allow the administration to purchase a small food cycle unit for the municipal office kitchen. Furthermore, be it resolved council will allow rural municipality St. Clement staff who are not residents of the municipality to participate in the food cycle program and purchase a unit of their choice.
We have a mover, please, Councillor Strang, Councillor Sutherland, seconds. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, it's still
Lazzaro.
on there, the small one, why would we get the small one? Like I said, we're filling ours at home, and you have a lot of staff here. So which one do you have? We've got the larger one.
Size matters.
Mine's got the big one. Especially this at commercial code, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we can,
Look at the stuff we're pulling.
makes sense, I could
I
choose.
agree with you.
Like, they're gonna clean up the fridge every Friday, that'll fill right
We do every Friday, yes.
there, so.
Okay, so we'll
It's
change the
not-
purchase of small food cycle
To a
to
large.
the large food cycle. Yeah.
Okay, I believe I have a mover in a second, and that's fine with the two of you to change
Yes.
that? Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, we will now take our delegation and from the East Selkirk Rec Association, and if you just want to introduce yourself, I'm not sure that everybody around this table knows who you are, and you can go ahead with your presentation.
For sure, and just so I'm clear too, how much time do I have?
How much would you like to have?
I've talked for so long. I tried to make my presentation being mindful of your time, so I was thinking around 15 to 20 minutes total with questions is what I was thinking. I don't know if that's too much time.
Madam Mayor, our next delegation that was scheduled has declined to come forward and is
Okay.
requesting for another day.
Yeah,
So there is time available to
Okay.
accommodate this.
yeah.
Okay,
And if you get a little bit too far into it, I might just give you the
perfect.
hold on
I
side,
got
so.
the clock there, so
Yeah.
I can take a look as well. Yeah, so thanks so much everyone for having me. My name is Jocelyn Pollock and I'm a member at large at the East Selkirk Rec Association Board. I'm also part of the parent advisory councils over at the two schools and couldn't help but get interested in your food saver conversation, and I might actually let the schools know that you're looking at selling a few more too with all the environmental programs that they have going on there, just as a side note. So I might suggest that as well. So I'm here today because we'd love to provide an update to you guys on what's been going on across the road. We think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but we think pre-COVID there wasn't a ton of activity based on our knowledge anyways, and with the new board members and the new volunteers coming on and getting through COVID, we've done quite a lot. There's quite a lot more to do. So we thought this was a good opportunity. We've got some things to report on and a great time to just come and present. So I just outlined a few things that I thought would be kind of the main objectives of the conversation today and some of the topics. I'll go over some of the purpose and goals of the ESRA, meet the board and staff. You guys can see some names. I couldn't gather all the pictures. They're all shy. current facilities, some of our challenges, past, present, ongoing maybe, some of the work we've been doing to date there, and then just thinking about moving forward and where we need to get to. So I'm sure that certainly Brent has seen in all of our grant proposals, the purpose of the ESRA really is about planning, coordinating, and delivering recreation to the community. And we're trying to do that on a year-round basis. I think formerly it was a little bit contracted to that focus on the winter, but we're trying to broaden that as per our mandate. And really trying to think a little bit more and provide a lot more guidance around the effective management of the facilities and grounds. And so that's our focus, that's our goals. But really we want to align with the RM. And so considering the strategic plan that the RM has developed, as well as that recreation needs assessment in 2019, we really dug into that and thought hard about how those strategigic goals and actions that you guys have identified align well with our purpose and goals. And so there are a number of places, and I just highlighted them on the presentation here, where I just cut some excerpts from the documents to say that I think they align really well with what we're trying to do over at the ESRA, and I think it's part of a larger goal for the RM, being that there would be other facilities in the south, here in East Selkirk, in the north, Grand Marais, bringing those all together to think about those kind of affordable and the breadth and depth of activities and recreation we can offer to our community members. But also thinking ahead to the future. We see a lot of growth here in East Selkirk, and so we need to be mindful of that as we move forward as well.
Mr. Administrator, can you get it on our screens?
Oh.
On this screen, or is it only going to be up here?
It's only going to be up there
Okay.
because it's presented for us.
Sure.
Okay.
I can definitely share the presentation after as well, if people want to just kind of take a look through again.
I just forwarded it to you, do you have to?
There's a couple of edits in that version.
That's fine. I can look
Okay, she'll send the version.
Not major. So meet the board and staff. So we have a very lively group of board members. They are all very active community members, and we've worked really hard to get some of these volunteers on board. And so the way I've just structured this slide here is really on the right-hand side is our volunteer base. So those are all the people who are volunteering, and they're the board. We have a core executive associated with the 4 positions there. And then on the left-hand side, those are our paid positions. And so you guys all know Blake very well, I'm sure. We've also got Tammy Fontaine, who's our bookkeeper. That was an essential addition in terms of our transition pre-COVID, was getting those books in order. So we've got that paid position. And then we've got 3 arena attendants that just take turns kind of providing the services needed during the weeks and weekends at the arena. All of us bring something different to the table. I mean, we've got people who work for the Winnipeg Police Service, we've got lots of tradespeople, plumbing, construction, all that kind of stuff. We've got a physicist who works at Cancer Care, very different, certainly topics through our days than what we talk about at our board meetings. And so sometimes it's a bit of a challenge for us all to transition and to take what expertise we bring to the table and transition it to more of a business approach, which is really what the ESRA needs, is that approach to running the facility from a business perspective. I work for Fisheries and Oceans. I don't think about business, I think about fish. My last presentation was just an hour ago talking about kidney shell mussels. So my perspective maybe is a little bit, and the expertise that I bring would be my past experience on boards, and as well just thinking from that government and grant perspective. So I tend to do most of the grant writing with support from Brenna, of course. So you all know our current facilities, but I just thought I would outline it here. We have the arena, we have and maintain the baseball diamonds, and then we also have the soccer fields as part of the broader Legacy Park, which is owned by the RM, the land. And then we also have to think about and consider the Legacy Park clubhouse as another piece of infrastructure that we are managing. So I tend to like to start my presentations off with the positives, but I think that to really set the stage and the context to really, explain how far we've gone, I kind of need to start with our challenges, unfortunately. And I'm sure that you all know the number one thing that we are struggling with right now is our failing infrastructure. So with a lack of board and a lack of activity, real major activity, being more reactive as opposed to proactive to everything that was happening over at the arena, there was this kind of lack of life cycle management, thinking about infrastructure and the needs in the future. And so we definitely have a number of items within the arena, at the clubhouse as well, that are definitely failing. And the number one thing, of course, that we all talk about is the ice plant. And the ice plant is a significant monetary piece of equipment that we have as part of our infrastructure. And it is the essential, critical path element or item that we need to make sure stays, operating for us to continue to, bring in income. I've listed a few other things. I'm sure if we looked to the community members and the people who come into our arena, they'll talk to you about all kinds of other things that they can find, but we tried to focus on kind of a list of things that tend to come up quite often. And so really, we started with our condenser, which was last year. This year, we're looking at the ice plant. We're going to have to think about heating, quality control, and efficiency around our infrastructure. And we can't ignore our clubhouse maintenance as well in terms of those summer months, because we really need to expand beyond the winter seasons. The other challenge that we face fairly regularly is gaining and garnering our volunteer base. Most people are extremely helpful and will jump up and help volunteer, but they're certainly not necessarily willing to commit as a board member. And those monthly meetings. Maybe it's because it's a little bit overwhelming. There are all kinds of reasons that we all probably are aware of in terms of volunteer and the ability to put your time towards that. Most people who volunteer their time are already active community members, right? And they're wanting and willing to make things better and want to see things happen. And so we come into this challenge of volunteer fatigue, and so you might see this up and down in terms of the ability of an individual to contribute and participate. And so that's just one of those ongoing things that will always be there, and you have to use your volunteers when they're available and when they have the energy and the time and space to do that. I would also say one of our challenges is ideas, which shouldn't be a challenge, but really it can be overwhelming. Lots of ideas for change, lots of ideas for projects. They're all great. But we need to think about and focus on priorities and how to strategically execute some of those ideas. And so sometimes I ask the board when we're having meetings, is that just a goal, an idea, an ambitious, want? Or is it part of our mandatory business needs and us moving forward and being able to be operational? And then lastly, of course, budget. Money talks at the end of the day. We have big infrastructure that requires funds. So the board members, currently as it are, walked into an existing debt associated with the ESRA. Decisions were made associated with that debt that we are unable to influence or control at this point in time, particularly due to the economic environment. We also had some losses due to the pandemic. Of course, you can imagine we had to close our doors for a very long time, and we did get support from the federal government. But we need to recoup some of that money and pay it back, of course, by the end of this year. And then, again, we need to explore some of those options for additional income. We can't rely solely on ice lots and ice rentals as our income. And so we've really pushed our ideas and expanded into those spring and summer months and looking for other opportunities. And then lastly, there are some very high operating expenses associated with the facility. Partly because that's just the way it is for an ice arena, and partly because maybe we could do some more work around the energy efficiency and some of the efficiencies associated with the expenses there as well. So those are some of the challenges that we've recognized and that we're working towards and are part of our plan to try to move forward with the ESRA and that whole kind of recreation component over there. Work to date. This was like the hardest slide to put together because it could be like a really long list and it just doesn't even touch on everything that's happened there since we've come out of COVID, really. And replacing the condenser, I just feel like it's just this one little bullet that sits on its own, and it really could be bigger because the time, the stress, the sleepless nights, and the effort that was put in to come up with that $140K to cover the cost of the condenser was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, and it was a lot of work because we were being reactive. We were not able to be proactive. The condenser went, and in order to have any kind of income, we needed to change it. So we made it work. We did multiple grant applications, some successful, some not, as you know how that process works. And we had fundraising, and the community really came together. It was absolutely amazing how many people were there for the social and who donated and put their time in and energy and money. Additionally, we've been working through the past few months to work with our facility manager, the bookkeeper, and our board members to reduce our expense budget. So really critically looking at our monthly expenses and trying to think of ways or places where we should make cuts and focus our attention versus being reactive all the time. We talked about implementing new spending practices. We have Tammy Fontaine, our bookkeeper. We touch base with her. Blake identifies when something goes wrong or something needs repair. We get costs, we get quotes. We ask Tammy, what does the account look like? We do board email approvals, things like that. These all seem very obvious and part of normal practice, and I would agree with you, they are. But we came from a place where we had not really a functioning board to a place now where we've got a lot of people who want to see this work and want to move it in the right direction. So again, these seem like obvious changes that seem so practical, but it does take time to implement change and trust. So these things were not implemented because we don't trust people. And that's an important piece of working with our paid staff, is that we want them to understand that these changes are not because they're doing things wrong. They were surviving through a time when there was some challenges, and now we're moving into a time where we can be more proactive and make these decisions a little bit more openly and transparent. We've got the concession open. We've got an amazing group of people in there. Tasties has been out of the clubhouse as well as out of the arena, and they've been really great to work with, and we're going to explore new options associated with that through a contract as well. With the grants that we've been receiving, we were finding it difficult as a board to manage making sure that money was available for our specific needs versus the operating budget. And so we've created a new, we call it the expansion account. It's where we save our money. It's where we put the money that we don't want touched associated with operational funds, because we've either received it as part of a grant that's intended for certain expenses, or we've run some sort of fundraiser that we want to make sure is associated with those expenses. So the ice plant is a really important one for that expansion account. And then of course I've got a bit of a list there. I couldn't help it. I had to put everything in. We've got increased programming beyond the hockey season. The hockey season in the past has really relied on North Selkirk Minor Hockey Association and their ice rentals and bookings. We've really expanded, and our volunteer base has come out. We've got a hockey breakfast program. The preseason hockey camp brought in $4,000. We're running the last 2 weeks, where I've been spending most of my time the last 2 weeks, the U11, U13 hockey tournament, where we've definitely brought in at least $6 grand from that. We doubled our soccer program in terms of the number of registrants that have come in. So when Pam started, it was 128, and we've got over 330 registrants in that program, so that's really expanded as well. Hosting the provincial baseball tournaments, we've got a slow pitch group in there as well. And then because our goal is affordability as well, some of these programs do come at a high cost. Pretty much anything associated with hockey can be really challenging. The Hockey Breakfast program has a no net gain, so that is offered so that we can expand and give opportunity to people beyond just those registered in Lord Selkirk Hockey, and really give them the opportunity to come out and do skating. The same with the movie and skate nights. We really only make maybe $300 off of those, but it's really great to see new faces and other people coming in and using the community center to skate and to just hang out and be there. So we have to see that, we have to think about that balance between the affordability and getting the new and different people out while servicing some of the main sports, which are baseball, soccer, and hockey. So I thought I would focus a little bit here today on the ice plant, specifically the next kind of phase of the project. We've got 3 quotes for that ice plant that we used as part of our grant application. It was about 370. We're estimating, or I just put in 400,000 there because I expect that some inflation is associated with that since we last got the quote. Plus, as you all know, when we do a renovation at home, certainly we open the wall and go, oh, I didn't know that was back there. So I wanted to buffer in a little bit of cost there associated with things that we wouldn't expect. And I would say that likely that would be associated with electrical, just based on what we were seeing in the back room there. We expect that we can, with working with one of our volunteers from the community. He was formerly with Berg Industries. He has a lot of knowledge, detailed knowledge and experience with the actual components and equipment associated with the brine pump and chiller. I'm literally saying brine pump and chiller with really no hot clue what that actually means in terms of the functioning of the ice plant. I know that it has something to do with those big, long, white things in the back there that says Simcoe on the picture. And so really we needed somebody with that experience and expertise to be able to help us work with the contractor, the successful contractor, and make sure that we're getting the right material. We're not overpaying, we're not overdoing it, like getting more than we actually need to make the ice plant function. And that we're including all the pieces appropriately and the right equipment appropriately. We also thought it would be really good to have someone like that on board. They would be a volunteer. They would help to communicate back to the board the details, particularly if we have questions. They would be kind of the in-between with the consultant or the contractor. And they would help to support that project management component with our facility manager. I think it's a really essential piece. Some of the other companies didn't do this, but Berg did quote for us that they would support us as the board to apply through Efficiency Manitoba to get credits of up to 30K. So that's one of the reasons why our interest is in actually going with the Berg company, Berg Industries. They included a lot more in terms of support to the board as part of the contract. So we did apply for the Building Sustainable Communities grant, and unfortunately we were unsuccessful, but the province had a backup, and there was the Art, Sport, and Culture grant, which was successful, and we were able to get $185,000. When I heard that, I was shocked, amazed, and ecstatic. And then I remembered the price tag is $400,000. How are we going to get the rest of the money? So I had to think about where the other money is going to come from. And so as part of the agreement with the province for the funds, they stipulate that at a minimum, the ESRA, so the applicant, must come up with at least 10% of the total project cost. So we put together what we think we can put into that expansion account to make sure that we can acquire at a minimum the 10%, which is $40,000. Other funds can come from various other places except other provincial funds. So I went to apply for the Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries grant, and I was advised that it was okay, but when I submitted the application, those are considered provincial funds. So it's going to be a bit of a game trying to figure out what is classified as a provincial fund versus what is being divvied out by the grant, by whatever the organization is, and if it is actually a provincial fund or not. So it's kind of a gray area maybe a little bit, but that's okay. We were successful in 10K last week. Hockey Hall of Fame came and presented us with a check for $10,000, which will go towards that 40%. We have another opportunity through the co-op Community Spaces grant, which that application is due in January of 2024, so I'll be applying for that. I have last year's application form, so I can start preparing and getting that ready. We also felt that we could come to the Arm of St. Clements for a project grant as well and use that application form. And then we're looking at new sponsorships as well. Our goal is $10,000. We've exhausted a number of different businesses and groups in the Selkirk and surrounding area, and we've got some new sponsorships already. So we want to try and push that again and look for another $10,000 at a minimum. Obviously, we won't stop if we get to that goal, and see if there's new sponsorship opportunities there. And then I've listed on the right what we were doing, and so I talked about the hockey camp, the hockey tournament. We'll likely make more than $6,000 at our hockey tournament. The 50-50 pot, the last I counted, was at $1,600, so our goal is $1,000 to come to us and $1,000 to the winner, so we're almost there. We implemented an ice rental, Save the Rest. It's a spin-off of Scotiabank, so for every ice rental, $10 will go directly into the expansion fund. If we base that on ice rental numbers from last year, then we potentially could save almost $9,000. So that's our approach. We worked with the St. Andrews Community Club, and they wanted to increase their ice rental fees as well. So we try to do that. We work with them a lot and try to match. They tell us about opportunities. We talk to them about opportunities to work together. So we increased our ice rental to $225. I think we're reaching our ceiling in terms of cost benefit associated with that increase. We don't have a lot more to offer there, and that's a pretty high price as opposed to, I mean, the highest other ice rental cost would be in the city that we could find, and that was about $235. I can't remember if anyone's here. Yeah. So we had taken a look at that, but that's another approach that we implemented to try to find some money. Clothing sales, we're looking at rebranding. We have Volunteer, who's a little bit of art background, so looking at rebranding our Eastside Sabres logo and selling sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, toques for hockey, baseball, and soccer. Soccer and baseball is something we've not done before. Movie night, and then for our 40th anniversary next year, we are planning trying to take a spin off of the old and some of the old functions that they had. They had a queen. There was a queen, a community queen, who was crowned at an event at the ESRA. So we thought we would have a family fun day and a social event again. And we think if it's like last time that we could probably potentially raise about $20,000 there too. And that's how we're thinking we might be able to come up with this. Only a couple more slides for you guys. It's really tough for members of the public to see what we're doing that costs so much and it's all behind a closed door. No one can see the new ice plant when it comes in because it's in the ice plant room. Closed door, no one can see it. The condenser's outside, it's on top. Maybe some people notice it, but it's not very obvious. And so we thought just as part of the 40th anniversary, as part of being a little bit more upfront about change at the ESRA, that we could maybe update our front entrance a little bit. It's a little tired. And we have volunteers and a contractor who's providing in-kind support to design that, in-kind support to do some of the renovations associated with that, as well as to be a sponsor, and we could provide advertising for in-kind support there. as well. We'll be able to apply for grants once we have some design and quotes. We also have an electrical contractor who came in. One of the biggest complaints that we hear from people is our parking lot and the lack of light in our parking lot, and I totally attest to that. That's an expense, could be an expensive project, but we have an electrical contractor who came in, and he's preparing and submitting an application on our behalf to Efficiency Manitoba to do an upgrade on all the lighting inside and outside, and that would include bulbs and potentially some hardware in places. So we might see a little bit more, I guess, lumens associated with the lighting outside to make it brighter. Dugout covers at the baseball diamonds. If we want to be competitive and get those provincial tournaments again, if we want to have weekend-long tournaments, thinking about health and safety is a really important feature. Dugout covers are a requirement to host any provincial tournament. We've been just putting up tarps, and everyone's been just lovely and accommodating that. But certainly it's going to open up new opportunities for us to host more at the baseball diamonds. And so another volunteer member from the community has reached out and said that they would get the design and develop the engineering plans for those dugout covers so that we can apply. I'm going to use the Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries grant application for that. We have the Jays Care, Field of Dreams as well. The only piece to that we're struggling with and we'd be looking for RM support is on the permitting. I talked to the planning board and they said that it would be a permit for each and every individual dugout, but that it was unfortunate that we weren't applying at the City of Winnipeg because they're much more supportive of recreation facilities and would probably give us a better opportunity or a better deal, I guess is what he said. So I'm wondering if maybe the RM might be able to work with the planning board to help us maybe make a more reasonable application for permitting on a dugout cover. There's no plan to change the structure as it is. It's literally to just add a roof onto the dugout. So that's one thing that I am coming to the RM to just say.
If you start putting roofs on, you're gonna need a permit for each building.
Yes. So,
$150.
yeah, there's 6. So it seemed like an unnecessary cost. It just particularly struck me when he said if you had applied at the City of Winnipeg that they're much more supportive of recreation and nonprofits. So
You know a name?
no,
Whoever was at the open house.
it was at the open house.
Can you get a name?
Well, I think we know who was at the open house
Oh,
because
okay.
they had a booth.
Yeah, there was like 3 people there. So last slide, just to sum up. What are we doing? Where are we going? We got lots still to do, but and we've definitely got the momentum in the community, so we'll continue to use our social media, the RM newsletters, which has been really great, the signage at the RM, working with Brennan's been really great, just communication and getting the word out. The Selkirk Record has been around, stopping in at all of our events and taking pictures and really getting the word out. Particularly as we start planning towards the 40th anniversary and making that a really big event. We need to get all the necessary funding and actions associated with the replacement and repair of the ice plant and that critical path item that really is what we need to move forward. And again, just kind of highlighting that we're just going to need that further discussion and commitment from the RM to help us get this on track. I think we can all acknowledge the fact that $30,000 has been the standard operating budget that we've requested from the RM for years and years and years. And it hasn't changed, but certainly inflation and the lack of attention is really, we're struggling to get that base and foundation to keep us rolling. And so I think we're gonna need to have a conversation about that annual operating grant. And I want to have that as a proactive conversation as opposed to a reactive conversation. And we're wondering if it's about applying by project or if it's about having a conversation with council and saying, maybe for the next 3 years to get things rolling and to push things forward because it is a huge monetary commitment. Maybe that annual operating budget, or sorry, operating grant is increased for the next 3 years so that we can actually do something and make the turnaround that needs to happen over there. And then that support for permitting. So those are some of the things that have been going on. These are some of the things we've been thinking about. Some of the things we've been changing. I'm sure there's something that I've missed from somebody who's a member on the board who's really passionate about it. But yeah, if there's any questions, thoughts, ideas, we're open.
I'm going to open it up for council for if there's any questions. So I'm going to start with Councillor Spicer and then Councillor Bazarowicz.
Thank you for your presentation, well done. 2 questions. So, the debt that you existingly have, I assume it's $110,000 or so?
Yeah.
What exactly was that for? Is it the initial build? Is it
No.
a project?
I believe it was a project, but I can't tell you, I don't know what it was specifically for. I'm sure that Blake would know what that was for, and it had to do with some sort of major renovation associated with what, I'm not sure.
Do you know, Brenna?
Probably the change rooms.
Maybe
That's what I was gonna say.
That's what it
I was
is.
gonna say the change rooms, because they moved the change rooms and they also moved the canteen.
Yeah, remodel.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
But isn't that debt over at the end of 2023 or 2024?
That was the borrowing from the COVID relief program, so there's a balance owing back at the end of this year.
Yeah,
20 grand, Jocelyn?
that's, yeah, or
Yeah,
40.
but that mortgage debt, that was for the renovations, I thought that was going to be over. So,
Is the washroom upgrade?
because those upgrades were done some 15, 20 years ago, so
The way they chose to advertise it and the loan, has made it difficult for us to make any transitions because of the current interest rate associated with it.
I think the amortization was over, like going almost done.
It's in our
Yeah,
audited
they're paying
statement.
$11,000 a year.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
So
for 20 years.
Yeah, but if your balance is 110, right?
Owing
You're
still?
looking at 9 more years.
Oh, I see.
because it's advertised, yeah.
Because the scheduled repayments of the note 4 is 11,688. And the debt is 110,080.
What kind of loan is that? Is that
So I'm
just-
assuming you're looking at 9, 10 more years.
I knew it was more than 5, for sure.
And I have a question, but it's not about money. It's about your 40th anniversary next year. Have you got a weekend that you've got set aside already for the events that you're going to be having or not yet?
We have an idea,
Okay.
and we would like to lock it in as soon as possible, because you can imagine things are gonna book up. But we are planning for June,
Okay.
and the front end of June. We didn't want to overlap with the soccer jamboree, kids leaving for school, plus some parents pull their kids a little early and take off for vacation, so we wanted to have the front end, so one of the weekends there.
Sorry, Glenn, I believe I cut you off. Go ahead.
You were talking about doing an upgrade to your entrance for that?
Mm-hmm.
Council Strang knows more about this people than I do, but the people that painted that poster or that mural, the building behind you, I wonder if they're looking for another screen.
Mm-hmm. For murals?
Yeah.
We've also talked to the East Selkirk Middle School about doing something along the side of the building as well, from the arts program there. I'm not sure where those conversations have gone either, but yeah, definitely some ideas to just liven it up a bit.
Go ahead. Sandra and then Rob.
I was just gonna say, the Interlakes Art Board is the one that painted the one on the Legacy, and they were looking at painting one on the arena. The only thing, the whole board has changed, because they haven't put the plaque yet for me.
Oh.
There, I sent emails, So,
Because they talked about that before, about painting something and then
yes.
bolting it or screwing it onto the
Yeah,
side.
it's not right, it doesn't get painted right on, it's something particular board and
I
everything,
see,
so
I
if
see,
anything ever
okay.
has to get done to the building, that comes off, and then it goes back on again, right?
Yeah,
And they do a commemorable plaque, everything like that, but,
The only thing is they can't shoot golf balls at it, especially if the building has got some waves in it. I know
the other
we
thing I
talked
just
about
wanted
that.
to add is, any of your events that you have, because they are open to the community and outside the community, just for you guys raising more money, Red River North Tourism,
Oh, I never thought
to
of that.
use them for free advertising.
Okay.
So you guys gotta pay back, sorry Sandra, you gotta pay back $40,000 out of the 60, eh?
Mm-hmm. There was an extension on that deadline. The federal government gave an extension.
For another year?
No.
They're talking about another year though, eh?
I think so. I don't know how much that traction will get, just, yeah.
Okay, Rob and then Dave Sutherland.
There might be some opportunity to get solar. I know Selkirk did a whole solar panel on their recreation center, their ice rink, and there might be some big grants available. I don't know what the applicant would have to pay for their portion, but I know there's big money available to put solar all along the roof of arenas because they're so long and flat facing the sun, and that could offset. Community and District Foundation as well, is there a grant?
Selkirk and District Community Foundation, there might be some grant monies there. Have you applied for anything through there?
They did support us for the condenser. I was going to reach out to the office and just ask if, asking again, like how appropriate that was or how much traction we would get for that. So that is definitely one on our list, so.
Well, I think there you might be able to apply on a yearly basis, so I'm not sure when you got other monies, and depending, because they have so many different, I don't want to call them pots, but so many different areas that they draw from, you might be able to draw from another area if you were to apply again, so. Councillor Sutherland.
Yeah, your fundraising, I know, the fish fry, that was fairly successful, was it?
Yes.
And how many do you plan on having this year? Is it just- I'm just curious, 'cause
Yeah, we definitely got on the list to have another one. I don't know.
just one, okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of our RM grant, you mentioned, did you have a figure in mind? Put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot. I mean, I think we have to get out of the hole that we're in, and that's the biggest challenge. And so, $100,000 for 3 years, that's a number that's come to mind in terms of thinking about this. It's a lot of money, but yeah, it's really about coming out of the hole so we can start operating and focusing on operating as opposed to digging out of the hole.
Okay, anybody else?
Madam Mayor?
Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
what's the written here? Legacy Park Clubhouse, do you make a profit from, I see you have,
Yeah.
no.
No,
You mentioned about a contract or
Yeah.
something, so.
we definitely have to have some conversations with the individual who's currently working in there. We've really struggled to keep somebody in there. And so one of the reasons why we struggle to keep someone in there is they need the foot traffic to make money. And then once they make money, then it seems more reasonable for us to gain something from that contract. So to date, I think that's kind of where we're at right now, is just looking at the viability of it for that individual who's in there, and then being able to have a reasonable or informed conversation about what is a reasonable request from them in terms of whether it's rent versus percent of profit versus, there's a lot of different ways we could look at that.
Just on that note, I guess, I know in the summer they were in the clubhouse. Now they've moved into the canteen at the rink.
Yes.
And come spring, they'll be moving back to the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Go ahead,
I
Sandra.
was just gonna say their dugouts, I think that's a little ridiculous, having to get permits for the roofs, so they're, I don't know what the roof is made out of, but But I just thought if you need 6 permits, and the comment that was made, I apologize. You know, we all do sitting at this
I
table.
think we all,
Yeah, I would have just called them existing.
yeah.
But you know what, sometimes we have to spend money to make money. So if it's something that getting those on are bring the provincials to you that's sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, for context too, those provincial tournaments have been consistently, well, 2 years, bringing in, the first year was $3,000, and then the second year I was able to bring in $4,200 from that. So, and they really love our facility, the setup of our facility, and so they're actually looking at giving us, I think it was the I think I told you to write. Oh, Adam's here. Which one was it? The U13 AA, is that really bigger? And yeah, because we had the A level, so they were talking about a AA team pushing for a AA team, which is bigger, better baseball.
And is it a lot of work when they come, like, you know, for your board, for the volunteers that you have, is that a lot?
So the community comes out on that one for me.
Okay.
So yeah, so I ran that 2 years in a row, and we've just canvassed, Brenna helped us canvass for volunteers, and people from the community have just self-identified and come forward. Basically, the main effort there is just running the front entrance gates.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions at this time from council, I'm going to turn it over to Deepak, because I know he has some thoughts he wants to share.
Okay, first of all, your 2022 balance at the end of the year was 69,000. Did that take into account that the 40,000 of that would be going to the federal government by the end of 2023?
No,
Okay.
that is literally the balance.
So the 60,000 that was received in 2020 was then utilized in whole, as opposed to taking only utilizing
We needed to
20,000
use like,
and reserving the 40,000 for payment back,
sorry, and then absorb.
and reserving the 40,000 to
We
pay
couldn't
back.
reserve the 40, we needed to use it. It was a legitimate need, and that's why we applied for that grant.
Okay. In your request here, I did notice it, it's 2032 is when your loan has been, would be mature, and then we wouldn't have the loan anymore. That would save you not a significant amount of $11,000 a year. But there was some discussions about doing some of your renovations through a loan from the RM. I don't see any request for that or any.
No, based on our current operating monthly budget, we're struggling to find another place to put in another payment for another loan.
Okay.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So just to be sure, so I'm reading this correctly, so this is a variable loan is what you have. So right now you're paying probably 7.2% on it?
It's definitely gone up if it's variable.
That's what it looks like.
It sort of looks like it.
My knowledge is it's at prime.
Yeah, our knowledge is that it's at prime.
Was it
Very
prime plus 2.2 on your
Yeah.
financial statement?
So what's prime, 4.85?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The loan keeps going up every year. It shows that it's variable.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Council? Okay, Jocelyn, I'd like to thank you very much for coming in today, and we'll be probably having some further discussion on it. And I know one thing that we'll definitely be looking into is the RRPD and the permits for that. Like these roofs, I'm gonna call them, are they, what are they made of? Are they fabric, or are they like a poly?
It'll
or-
be engineered.
It'd be engineered.
It'd be engineered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just feel like if we get one engineer plan for one dugout, it's a copy for every other
Right.
one.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't
it's
make
not,
sense,
yeah,
Yeah, because they're all the same size, are they not?
yes, yeah. Yeah,
Okay, leave that one with us and we'll see, we'll do some chatting.
for sure. And then just to note for you guys as well, in terms of that RM, if I were to apply for the RM, like from a project perspective grant application, we wouldn't need funds until the project completion date associated with that project. So just to provide some timelines, we would plan on the project for the ice plant starting at the beginning of May, and then being completed by around mid-August. So then you could imagine invoicing would come on after that. So in terms of just thinking about like when we need money and how we need the money, that's how I've been applying for the grants. And so it would be the same situation. So that gives council time to think about, make decisions, and make it part of your annual kind of budget for spending in terms of a budget.
Okay, anything else? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Your 50/50 fundraiser, are you able to buy online?
Can't buy online, but we're right at the door. We have tap. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
If you ever want to know or hear a little bit more about something, please feel free to reach out, and we're happy to come and present.
Did you make anything off the Highland Gathering?
No.
Going back to the 50.
Promote your 50/50.
Going back to the 50/50, are they like a 50/50 ticket that you
Yes.
can buy?
Yeah.
Okay. I just, no, I might know somebody and I may even want to sell some if that's allowable. I'm not sure what your.
For a water license. I don't know how that works, but the draw will be on this Wednesday, so there's only a few more days
Oh,
left
okay.
of the tournament. The individual who won the U11, they won $990, and he bought 3 tickets, and he was from Springfield.
Jocelyn, you guys found them?
Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
good.
yeah, all good. Okay,
Okay, thank you very
thank
much.
you.
for coming.
Do we
Thank
have
you
to
very
do
much.
wine tasting for, you know?
Wine tasting.
Rosener and daycare.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, yeah,
Thank you so much for coming in.
All right.
Yeah, let's take 5. She's a go-getter, I think.
Wait, I'm just.
What do you think? He's gonna write me a letter here.
No, I'm with you.